Hi, everybody. Welcome to an edition of Yo on the Go Leadership Moments. Today, I have a special guest. Her name is Maureen Zappala, and she is a coach, a leader, and an innovator in the field of leadership management. Um, I'd like to just share with you something about her. She's a former NASA engineer. She's also been able to run her own business, specifically in developing leadership characteristics in up and coming leaders. And so I'm super excited to have you here today and just ask you, how do you transfer from a NASA engineer position into this very, very special skill and capability?
Yeah, thanks for asking. Not a short answer. It was not, it's not linear, nor is it a step change. It was kind of a convoluted evolution. I worked for NASA for probably 14 or 15, about 14 years. Left NASA because it was just time to move on. It wasn't a bad thing. It was just time to move on. Did a few other things, including raising a few kids, and stumbled on this particular topic of imposter syndrome as I was reading. I love to read. At that time, probably maybe 10 to 12 years ago, I was already doing a lot of speaking, a lot of leadership speaking. But this topic of imposter syndrome just, it's saying to me,
Mm.
it's that irrational self-doubt that smart people are not convinced they really are smart, and they feel like fakes. And I thought back to my days at NASA when every day I walked in, regardless of how um, qualified I was for the job and how I was promoted into a job of influence and leadership and management, I still didn't believe that I deserved it. I felt like I was a fake. And I
Mm.
learned that it's a thing, it's this imposter syndrome. So I started studying it and diving into it and reading everything I can get my hands on and talking to people, and developed a set of strategies that helps people overcome that. Things that I wish that I knew when I worked at NASA. But now I know, and now I can teach other people. So the imposter syndrome voice speaks the loudest in terms of transition, and emerging leaders live in transition. They are emerging, they are changing, they are transitioning. So the techniques that I've developed, the strategies I've developed, set the stage and provide a foundation for people in the emerging leadership space to really embrace their greatness, take on challenges, be comfortable with the transition, and essentially explode their influence.
Wow. So Maureen, you found this particular thing about imposter syndrome being one of the key aspects that holds back a leader. I'm kind of curious, when a leader fails because they're going into transition, they're thinking and trying to, navigate a path that may not have been plotted out before. That's what a leader does. What happens when they fail and they have this imposter syndrome stuck onto them and they're dealing with that? What happens?
Well, it's interesting because typically the leaders that fail, they're not the ones with imposter syndrome. Either they don't have imposter syndrome, or they figured out they have it and they've overcome it, because people with imposter syndrome stop far short of failing, because
Hmm.
failure is like death. So
Interesting.
that's the insidious problem with imposter syndrome. It makes people step back, hold back. Uh, they don't take those risks. They don't embrace those opportunities to do something different. Now, people with imposter syndrome that do step into a challenge and fail, we all know that failure really isn't final. Failure is not
Hmm.
fatal. Failure is a path to success. It's all in how you interpret the failure. I read a
Hmm.
story or heard a woman speak once. I won't go into the whole story. She was in the product development space. I think it was software development. Took on this role, knowing full well that there was a lot riding on it, but she was tired of playing small. And she's like, "What's the worst that could happen? They fire me?" Well, I don't know if it was the worst, but that's what she took this job on, and it failed just short of
Hmm.
product launch. She canceled the rollout. because there were problems with the software that could not be solved in time. So to the world, it looked like she failed, but she got respect for being courageous. She learned skills that she hadn't learned. She developed a team of people around her that she would not have developed otherwise. She actually was offered a promotion because she exhibited this incredible courage. So failure, it depends on how you define it. For her, it was a path to success and greater personal development.
Hmm. I think that's a key thing. I kind of remember when you're talking about that, a key point in my life a few years back when I thought of the idea of, a lot of the aerospace industry tends to be safety, 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 minimize risks. Let's look at, failures in time to 1 in 30 years in order to make these missions successful. And yet I found myself thinking, well, what about a fail successful mentality? Assume you're going to fail on that task. What are you going to get out of it? So I'm hearing that resonation with what you're sharing about this particular story. And I think that really touches me. So thank you.
Yeah, it's about rewriting the definition of fail, and even using that
Yeah.
word fail. Fail is not failure. Fail is just, oh, that didn't work. What am I going to do different? Or what can I try different?
Yeah. And I think if you're not failing, you're not pushing yourself hard enough. And I think that's the thing. We haven't had much experience with failing. And I think I'm kind of curious actually, in terms of the educational system that we have here. Do we have an educational system, K through 12, that promotes failure and celebrates it? Or is it more about striving and trying to get those A pluses and bonus points?
Yeah, that's a good question. I have two children. They're adults now, both in college, and they went through private school. And private school and public school probably have a little different philosophy and perspective. But I know for me, yeah, I said, try hard, work hard, do the best you can. Um, Failure is not going to kill you. Failure will just simply reveal places where you can improve or
Hmm.
opportunities to improve.
Hmm.
So, yeah, that's a hot topic, the whole education system.
No, it's a hard thing. It's a hard thing to have your child, give them an opportunity knowing that they're going to fail at it, that their
Mhm,
chances of actually achieving are low,
mhm.
and developing those scaffolding. I think that's really a core thing about being a parent, about being a teacher, about being in a system is to set up I would say not safety net. It's more of a philosophy, like you said, a way of
Yeah,
thinking,
yeah,
such that when they fail, it's okay because everybody fails. And then they get encouraged and go, oh, I'm going to try again. I'm going to try in this different route and in this different way. So in some ways, I
yeah.
think, yeah,
Oh, go ahead, go ahead.
I was just thinking that having failure built into the system I think, should be inherent in every single endeavor that we take.
Well, what failure does too is so many of us tend to rely just on skills. And we think, oh, I can't
Mm,
do that job because I'm not skilled. I don't have the training. I don't have the professional education. I don't have the experience. However, and that could very well be true, but that shouldn't stop you from stepping into a challenge where you might fail, because the better, more significant aspect is your character quality. Your skills will get you so far, but your character qualities will take you even further, because it's your character qualities. Are you resourceful? Are you dependable? Are you creative? Are you curious? Do you get along with others? Are you
mm,
positive? Are you inquisitive? Those character qualities will carry you past where skills, abilities, and experience may limit you. And limit isn't even the right word.
mm,
You do reach the end of your experience. Well, it's your character qualities now that's going to push you a little further. And we
mm.
undervalue that. We undervalue that, and I think we
Yeah.
underdevelop it.
Wow. That's really, really insightful. And just thank you so much for giving just a little, scratching the surface of imposter syndrome and the pervasiveness that it can affect not only an individual and their career, but also the entire team and the entire operations. I'm super excited to have the opportunity to meet you. And I know that everyone at the IEEE Rising Stars will also enjoy meeting Maureen Zappala and being able to interact with her and understanding more about the passion that she has and how important it is for for all of us to understand this. Maureen, thank you so much for your time, and looking forward to seeing you at the IEEE Rising Stars Conference in 2021. The link is below in the descriptions, and I'm looking forward to all of you in the audience coming over and meeting Maureen and understanding more about this so that you can upgrade all the vehicles of your life in this time. So I hope this was helpful for you. Until next time, bye.